Hi, welcome everyone to PopCultX episode 134. We are back again this week with your hosts, Gabriel and Danny, bringing you the best of pop culture from a Gen X perspective. How's it going, Danny?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good. It's been a fun technology-filled week for me. A lot of issues going on here around my house with the Wi-Fi and dropping and being very inconsistent, which is a pain, especially when you do a lot of your work on a computer and rely on said Wi-Fi to get the work done. But making it through.
Yeah, that's always fun when technology is being a pain in the ass.
And it made me realize that, streaming is great. All the various streaming platforms are just wonderful to have because it gives you access to a multitude of shows, movies, music. But what happens when you lose that connection, right?
Yeah, you feel totally like you're like the world has ended and you have like nothing to do. At least I feel like that. It's like
It leaves you isolated in a way, right? So it's like, oh man, I have to go into my
yeah.
DVD collection and find something to watch. So it's had to do that a couple times.
I don't even
Quite
have a
interesting.
DVD player or like a game console to play DVDs.
No, interesting. Okay. So you just rely solely on streaming then. Interesting. There are
Yeah, that's all I do now.
there are those people who feel that, digital ownership or whatever is not really owning, it's just like renting because you're renting a license to the media or something like that, which is kind of
Right.
unfair. I think I saw a something on X or Twitter that someone had like these seasons of shows in their Amazon Prime library that I guess Prime lost the licensing availability to show it. So now all these seasons that they had bought are gone. So it's like no notice, no anything. They just disappear, which is kind of sucks if you paid for them and now you don't have access to them
Yeah,
anymore.
it's true.
We have a guest today.
Speaking of like, yeah, my dog Shelby is forging her way into the show. You can see her tail. Um, so speaking of being disconnected from the world and streaming services and missing out on your favorite shows, I saw on Netflix Leave the World Behind,
Mm,
with Julia Roberts. I don't know if you've seen that yet,
not yet.
but it's sort of like a apocalyptic, you know, what happens if the apocalypse happens and you're left alone, and it's about two different families that sort of merge to have to deal with this unforeseen apocalyptic event. And one of the aspects of the stories is that her daughter is a really big Friends fanatic and has been watching Friends streaming, but because they lose their internet, she can't watch the final episode. So she's like
Oh no.
dying to try to get to watch the episode, and it to the point earlier of like when you lose your internet connection or your streaming services, you literally feel like it's the end of the world. Like you're like,
Hmm.
what's going on? I can't watch my favorite shows. It's like you're back in the dark ages, even though you can go back and watch your DVDs or you can go read a book or do something else. It's like,
Exactly.
but it feels like you're just like dark ages time. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that is a especially for the younger generations, I think more so than for us, because they're more, I would say, attached
Yeah.
to their devices, more attached to their internet, their social media platforms. And yeah, I mean, comedians joke about it all the time. Like if you take a kid's phone away, they go crazy, right? And so like
Yeah.
I can just imagine how at the end of the world or after an apocalyptic event and you don't have access to anything, what it must be like to not know if Ross and Rachel got back together.
Right. That's it. That's exactly what, one of the plots is. It's actually a really good movie. Julia Roberts is pretty good in it. She's not necessarily playing the same type where,
Yeah.
you love her and she's sort of like um a hate filled, you know, uh I guess Gen Xer. I don't know if she's older than Gen X or maybe not. Maybe she's right in that area, but sort of a anti-humanity at this point in her life where she just doesn't find a lot of joy in other people,
Mm-hmm.
and then she has her
I get
family with
that.
her. Yeah, and then she uh, she's renting a house with her family, and then the family that owns the house comes into play, and they start to share the house so that they can survive this apocalypse. Kevin Bacon's in it. But it's really a really good suspense film with a little bit of dark humor mixed in. I recommend it. It's pretty good.
Sounds good. I've been meaning to watch it. I saw it, the trailer for it, and I was like, "Oh, that looks really cool." Isn't like Marshala Ali in it, and
Yeah.
it looks really good. So I'll be sure to check that out. And of course, the bonus or good side of streaming is that we get to find movies and series that we might have not known about otherwise.
Mhm.
So on Peacock, I came across or happened upon a series that really caught my eye just based on the premise of it. So I watched it's like a 6-part miniseries, and it's called We Are Lady Parts, and it's about a female-led Muslim punk rock band.
Oh,
Now,
nice.
if that doesn't draw you in just by that, then there's something wrong with you, because that was like just so intriguing to me, and it was a really good, nuanced look at what these women go through being part of the Muslim community, but also wanting to express themselves, and especially through punk rock music.
Yeah.
So it's really, really well done. It came out in 2021, I guess, in the UK, but we barely just got it over here, I think, this past month or
Oh,
earlier in
nice.
November. So it's really good. I highly, highly recommend it. I've been telling everyone I see about it and saying, tell them to go watch it. If they have Peacock, go watch it, go watch it, go watch it. I came across a comic book artist in a comic book store, and he says he was a big punk rocker. So, oh, go watch the show. So it was really
Yeah.
cool. And I can't say enough about it. It's just really well done. The music's great, but just the story of the characters themselves and how they, I don't want to say compartmentalize the different aspects of themselves, but they do kind of have to figure out a way to, how do they fit in their religion with what they're trying to say in their punk rock music. So it's really cool. Highly recommend it.
Is it original music?
What was that?
Do they have original music and an original
Yes.
soundtrack?
There is a
Nice.
soundtrack. I listened to it on Apple Music. It's kind of fun. You can go find it on there. It's We Are Lady Parts, and it's a really fun set. So they do have like 2 covers, but the rest is like their own music. It's not many. It's like maybe 7 songs, maybe, but it's really worth it. I think the writer creator, what's her name? Hold on, I don't want to mess it up. One second. She also has a film out on I think it's Peacock as well, called Polite Society, which looks really cool. Her name is Nita Manzoor, and she's really good. She really captures it really well. So, and who knows, maybe later on this year or next year we might have an interview with one of the actresses on there. So look
Oh,
forward to
nice.
doing that. So
Very cool. So you obviously have your Christmas tree up, so it's Christmas time or the holiday season, your Hanukkah tree, if you will, or
Hanukkah
whatever
tree.
you want to call it. So it's that time of the year where we start to watch holiday movies. Have you watched anything recently that would fall under that category?
I have. I did. It's been, I don't want to say nonstop, but it's been every night there seems to be some sort of holiday movie on. The Grinch with Jim Carrey, the live action version. We watched that last night. That's one of the DVDs I had to go pull out because we didn't have any Wi-Fi, so I
Nice.
went and pulled that out. Watched that. Um, Watch another one that was, I don't know if you consider it a Christmas movie. I mean, a lot of it is set during the winter time, but it was Bridget Jones' Diary. So watch that.
Oh yeah.
What else have I watched? I should have been keeping track of those. Christmas Story, of course, watched that, and then I watched the sequel to that, where Ralphie's all grown up, the Christmas Story Christmas, and it was the
Yeah.
second time I watched it. It came out last year, but it was really well done. It's on HBO Max streaming
Yeah.
there, and it's just a really heartfelt story, and they really brought in a lot of the original actors and characters and story from the original film, and it was really well done. I really appreciated it. I think the second time through even more than the first time.
Yeah.
How about you?
I've watched some classics, for Christmases, or with Vince Vaughn and Reese
Hmm.
Witherspoon. I watched that one, which is kind of, almost like life imitating art, because that's very much our holiday season is having to split up our time between
Hmm.
like four different families. So it definitely, it's relatable content. And it's just fun. It's a really funny movie, where Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon go and visit their families that they're sort of semi estranged from, and you get to see why they don't stay around their family during the holiday season. And then I also saw another sort of interesting Christmas movie, Violent Night,
Ah, yes,
where
awesome.
it's
Hmm.
sort of like the violent Santa Claus, where he's defending a house from some bad guys, and so it's almost like a Die Hard featuring Santa Claus. So that one was really fun.
Yeah, David
He has sort
Harbour,
of
Santa
like a
Claus,
Viking
John
origin,
Leguizamo.
where his his weapon of choice is a hammer, and so he gets a hammer at one point, and starts to show what Saint Nick is made of.
Yes, definitely. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that movie. I saw that last year, and it was I don't know. I mean, it just captures a whole different concept of what, Christmas can be.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Definitely makes you want to still believe in Santa Claus if he's like a badass, uh, hero that is killing bad guys throughout, and people who are on the naughty list, if you will.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh man, what else did I watch? I watched Spirited again, the take on Christmas Carol with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, the musical version. That's enjoyable. That's really fun. I like
Yeah,
it. Um,
yeah.
there's just a whole bunch of different Christmas movies. I was looking through each of the streaming platforms has like their holiday collection, I guess, so to speak. And there's
Mhm.
just so many of them. A lot of the Hallmark holiday movies and all this stuff. It's just like, wow, that's just way too many for me to watch.
Start
I did,
to like holiday overload.
yeah, yeah, they can be overloading or overload, I guess. I did watch another new one, and that's with Eddie Murphy called Candy Cane Lane. I think it was on Prime. And
Okay.
the reason that caught my eye really is because in Chula Vista, where I grew up, they used to have a street that changed into Candy Cane Lane every year, where they did all the decorations and they all go all out for it. And that
Yeah.
was basically the concept behind this movie. It took place in Southern California, I think El Segundo, and it just was basically Eddie Murphy. Of course, there's more to it, but decorating to save his house after he loses his job or something. But it was a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So this time of year, from you go from one holiday to the next. So Christmas, Hanukkah, and then you go into New Year's.
Hmm.
Are there any New Year's movies? Are there any that you would categorize as like a New Year's Eve film?
Well, you said it right there. I think there's one called New Year's Eve or New Year's Day,
Yeah.
which is kind of like the whole like Crash or Love Actually, where they weave like six different stories into one film.
Yeah.
I've never watched the whole thing, so I can't say for sure. But there, it's called I think New Year's Day. What else would you call a New Year's movie?
I don't think there's like a lot out there. I can think of like 200 Cigarettes, I think was one. I don't know if you
Okay.
remember that film from back in the day. Christina Ricci, I think, is in it. Courtney Love. But that's a was a kind of a on the New Year's Eve night about these people that are partying in different areas of New York. Uh,
Okay.
that was a good one. But I can't really think of a lot of New Year's Eve movies. It's kind of just Christmas that merges into New Year's Eve, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really remember that many as well. I mean, I'm looking at a list here. Four Rooms. That was a I guess it took place on New Year's Eve. Some of the stories. That was an interesting movie. I don't remember if you recall that one.
Yeah, Antonio
Uh,
Banderas, Madonna.
yeah, the Tarantino Robert Rodriguez directed some of
Yeah.
the stories in there. That was a really good movie. I remember that movie a lot based upon the very last story, I think, where Tarantino plays like a waiter and they go and they dare
Mhm.
him or bet him to chop off a guy's finger or something like
Yeah.
that, and then he takes the money and runs. Looking at a list here, and I mean, there's 35 of them on this list, but I don't really recall any that I've seen other than that.
Yeah. Hmm. Speaking of lists, since we're fans of lists here at PopCultX, uh, what events or what pop culture events occurred during this past year that were memorable for you or that really stick
Oh,
out in your mind?
you want me to remember that many? There's like that's a whole year's worth.
Yeah.
But I think well, first off, I'll say I think this year kind of belonged, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, tongue in cheek, but to Taylor Swift, because she, I
Yeah.
think, more than anyone, like dominated the headlines from like her movie, her tours, and of course her romantic involvements with the football player. And she just kind of like
Yeah.
whether like it or not, she stayed in the headlines at the forefront, I think, of most pop culture. So that was probably the number one thing that I can think of. Of course, her music came out. She released a couple albums, I believe, and her own version of a past album,
Yeah.
because she couldn't get the master, so she re-recorded it all, something like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I think she stood out. Other than that, though, I think for me, the probably the top moment as I was reading through like a list, like we said, of things like that, was Rihanna's performance at the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. That's
That
a good.
was that was such a moment that, here's Rihanna, the pregnant in all her glory, 50 foot up in the air, singing and dancing. And it was just such a wonderful thing to see. I mean, to see a performer do that. And it was just so cool.
Yeah, I wasn't as big of a fan of of the performance, but it definitely was memorable for sure.
Yeah. What about you? Any sort of like standout moments?
At my age, this year has been like a total blur. Um, I think of like the Blue Beetle movie coming out. That was really good kind of fun for me.
Mm, hmm.
The reading the Blue Beetle comic book with our guest of our show, both writer, colorist, and artist, being able to come on to PopCultX and talk about how their creative process is like and how they've created the
Art.
comic book
Hmm.
and that sort of stands out for me. Having a Mexican American superhero is sort of important for me and so that kind of stood out as one of the top moments for me is being able to have Blue Beetle come out to some sort of a level of success and then on streaming services kind of really kill it.
Yeah,
That
yeah. It has
being one
really,
of the top movies on streaming.
definitely. It really has. And I was going to say that it really, once it got released on HBO Max, went up another level. Yeah, that the episode with the Blue Beetle Roundup was probably one of the top moments for me
Yeah,
from our past year of episodes, in which we had quite a few number of guests that appeared on our show this past year, from sound engineers to comic book writers, filmmakers, authors, musicians, artists, book editors, Professor Latinx, a mental skill strategist as well. And I'll have the whole list for you guys down below in the what you call the
description.
description field, with links to every single episode of every single guest we've had on, if you guys want to go watch some of the past episodes and see some of our guests. But yeah, I think for me, getting the chance to hear, like you said, the thought process that went into their Blue Beetle, not only the graduation day, but also their ongoing series, which is still going on. And I think issue 4 is out this month. And I've been reading through that. And it was so cool to be able to talk to them about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're really fortunate that we had such great guests this past year on our podcast. I mean, really brilliant people that are doing some great things out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a lot of fun, and I'm thankful that we get to chat with all these people. It's just really cool having a platform that allows us to not only share our thoughts, but to meet new people and to introduce these new people that maybe you guys out there aren't aware of, and so you get to know them as well. Next year, I think we're going to continue that. I guess right now we can announce next year we're going to be making a few slight changes to the show format. So instead of one episode every week, we're going to be going to maybe every other week for you guys. That way it's a little more encapsulated. We can bring a little bit more of a robust feel to each episode. So it's filled with everything, not just a tasting of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm hungry and that's why I'm making food references.
Sounds like it.
But yeah, that's going to happen in season 4. So we are wrapping up season 3, and I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing next year or next season of Pop Cult X. It's going to be really fun. Is there any guests that you want to kind of like manifest right now? Just kind of speak it into existence. Anyone who, let's say, anyone you asked said yes, who would you want to get on the show?
That's a really hard question. That there are so many cool, interesting people out there that I would love to have on the show.
Pick one. Pick one guest that you say, you know what, we're gonna fight to get him on there. Maybe we can use the internet to help us get that person on.
Wow, I don't know. There's so many people. I'm trying to think of this particular musician that I really like. And of course, now I'm not going to be able to remember his name.
Well, while you think about it, I'll tell you mine, and I'm going to speak mine into an existence. I am going to manifest. I want to interview and have on the show Pedro Pascal.
Okay.
That will be mine. And I'm going to have, hopefully, the internet help us out with that. And if we can get him on the show, I will be a happy season 4 PopCultXer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would not be mad at that. He's definitely one of my favorites. I guess I don't know. There's a particular comedian that I'm a really big fan of, Melissa Villaseñor. I think it would be really cool to have her on the show. She has really cool energy. She does a lot of impersonations. I have her book. Just a really fun person. Also, my grandmother's last name was Villaseñor, so possibly maybe we're related. Who knows?
There you go.
So it would be cool to have her on the show. That I think it's always fun when we have comedians come our way and are able to talk about their process and tell a funny story or two.
Yeah, completely agree. So those are 2 people that we will work on. Hopefully out there, you guys, maybe you have a connection with someone there that can lead to another connection that can lead us in contact with those comedian and actor and get them on the show here and make Pop Cult Xers happy around the world.
Yeah.
So I think that's a wrap for season 3. Anything else you have left that you want to say for the end of the year, end of the season?
Just happy holidays, happy new year. Everyone kind of take it easy, be loving and kind to everyone. And we'll see you next year. Hopefully having a really great year ahead.
Sounds good. Yes. Be kind to everyone, be patient, and just spread kindness. Yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in, for subscribing, and we will see you all on the flip side.